Tied to a wooden chair in a small square room, Allimir found himself at the mercy of an orc. The walls, made of solid granite, had been cut directly into the rock, and at its entrance an iron-barred door. Moisture filled the air with a dank, musty aroma, which was only equalled by the orc's stench.
"I ask you again, who sent you and what is your purpose?"
The orc snarled at Allimir. "For the last time we're on our way to Taghairn Hold in the north of Cryodil," Allimir responded, head down, breathing hard.
"Liar!"
the orc screamed, striking Allimir again, causing blood to spray from the many wounds on his face.
"Shall I tell you what I think, elf?"
"And if I say no?" Allimir sarcastically questioned. The orc struck Allimir again.
"I think you're a spy of Borkul, sent to collect information with an end to capturing Gashnakh for himself."
Allimir spat blood from his mouth, looked up at the orc with hatred in his eyes, and said, "I know not of any Borkul, or what Gashnakh is."
"Liar!"
The orc grunted again, and struck Allimir once more, sending him spiralling into unconsciousness. Allimir's tormentor was Urgoth, leader of a band of orcs that occupied Gashnakh mine. Urgoth was small for an orc, but what he lacked in size he made up for with venomous guile. Being of sharper wit than his subordinates made him a natural leader, finding it extremely easy to manipulate all around him. Like most orcs, Urgoth was dark-skinned, but his striking blue eyes set him apart from most, whose eyes were usually brown in colour. Urgoth's one weakness was his extreme paranoia. Gashnakh had once been a thriving gold mine, but had been long abandoned after the deposits had been exhausted. Urgoth believed that there was still gold to be found in the mine, and for that reason his paranoia had grown. His brother Borkul, leader of a neighbouring band of orcs, had made several attempts to take the mine from him, also thinking that the mine contained riches of great worth, thus heightening Urgoth's suspicions yet more. Allimir and Anon had been fished from the river Elin by the orcs and brought to Gashnakh for questioning. "Allimir," came a familiar voice. Allimir opened his eyes. Greeting him was Anon's bruised, blooded, yet smiling face. "How did you get here?" asked Allimir. "The orcs questioned me rather vigorously, then threw me in this cell with you," Anon replied. "My life has been—" Anon paused. "Let's say interesting, since joining with you, my friend." Anon untied Allimir from the chair and helped him to his feet. "So let's make it even more so," Allimir said. The two formulated a plan for their escape, and as night fell, put it into action. Anon walked over to the cell bars and grabbed them with both hands. "Help! Help!" Anon shouted to the orc sitting at the table outside the cell.
"What is it?"
The orc grunted.
"Can't you see I'm trying to sleep here?"
"He's dead! He's dead! I think he's dead!" Anon said with urgency in his voice, pointing at Allimir's lifeless body lying on the floor of the cell. The orc sighed, stood, and made his way towards Anon.
"Good,"
the orc scoffed.
"The scrawny vermin was giving me the creeps."
The orc laughed, but before he could return to his chair, Anon had grabbed him by the back of his neck, and pulling him sharply forward, smashed his face into the cell bars, splattering Anon with blood. Holding him in place, Anon signalled to Allimir, who leapt to his feet and unhooked the guard's keys from his waist. "Got 'em!" Allimir said excitedly. Anon released the orc, and it fell to the ground, blood spilling from its shattered face. Allimir unlocked the cell door, and the two made their way quietly along the corridor, towards a large wooden door studded with iron. Bending down, Allimir placed his hand at the base. "I feel a cool breeze," he said. "The exit must be this way." Carefully opening the door, they came upon a room filled with oak casks. "Are you ready to meet your maker?" Anon yelled. Looking at each other and nodding, the two charged into battle, screaming at the bewildered-looking orcs. The first barrage of arrows came zipping towards them. Drawing his bow, Allimir deflected two of them, and leaping into the air, spinning around and holding his bow like a sword, Allimir struck an orc full in the face, killing him instantly. Dropping it, Allimir drew his daggers and thrust them into two charging orcs. Anon had not been so lucky, and two arrows had struck him in the arm and chest, but his breastplate had protected him, and the arrow had been stopped short of its target. Drawing his giant sword, Anon sliced through the first orc, cleaving downwards through its shoulder and removing almost half of its body. Spinning around, his sword met with the neck of another, and decapitated, the orc fell. Picking up his bow once more, Allimir fired off 3 arrows, all finding their intended victims. Looking over to Anon, he saw a massive orc come at him, battle-axe raised above his head. The orc wielded the axe downwards, but stepping deftly to his left and dodging the blow, Anon removed the orc's arm and thrust his sword through the beast's chest as it lay helpless on the ground. Seeing the destruction of their comrades, the remaining orcs dropped their weapons and fled, leaving the two friends victorious once more.